What if I told you there was a way to escape the constant cycle of bulking just to get fat and cutting just to lose muscle? A method that has you in a permanent muscle building fat loss state. A method that allows you to eat as much as you want, but keeps you lean for the rest of your life. The truth is that this is not some made up fantasy. It's entirely possible. And it's not by taking drugs, it's not by taking steroids, it's not by doing hours of cardio, and it's not by cutting calories. The solution, all you need to do is eat an animal-based, high-fat keto diet. And in this video, I'm going to tell you exactly why. After implementing this method, I lost 12 pounds of fat in just 3 months whilst I gained muscle. And throughout the entire process, I was eating more calories than I was eating before. I was eating over 3,500 calories per day, and I shredded pounds of fat. So I'm going to show you how you can make the exact same transformation as I did. And I'm going to prove to you why this diet is a solution to all your problems that the mainstream fitness advice just created for you. So we're going to cover 4 things. Number 1, why calories in, calories out is dumb. Number 2, what is ketosis and why it works. Number 3, increase your test and build muscle twice as fast. Number 4, a simple meal plan and action steps for success. Step 1, why calories in, calories out is dumb. So when we look at the typical model of calories in, calories out, they talk about the human body like it's a combustion engine, like you just put it in and burn it out. But the truth is that it's so oversimplified, and the human body is actually a chemical factory because foods have different chemical reactions in your body. So what this means is that foods have completely different effects on your body. Foods lead to fat loss, some foods lead to muscle gain. So it's not just as simple as, oh yeah, put the calories in and the calories out. Because if you truly want to lose weight, you want not lose weight, but you want to lose fat and you want to gain muscle effectively, then you need to stop worrying about the quantity of the food that you're eating, but the quality of the food that you're eating. So let's take an example. Let's say you consumed 300 calories of a Mountain Dew and you consumed 300 calories of eggs. Let's start with the Mountain Dew. So let's say the Mountain Dew had about 70 grams of sugar in it. The sugar is going to spike up our hormone called insulin. And insulin is our fat storing hormone. This is the hormone that basically opens up the trap door to fat gain. So what this Mountain Dew did was signal to our body to store on fat. And the next thing that insulin blocks is leptin. And leptin is your satiety hormone. This hormone basically tells you that it's a measure of how satiating your food is. So like when insulin spikes up, leptin gets blocked, and so this causes you to overeat because you don't know when to stop eating. This is why most people are obese, is because they're eating tons of Mountain Dew, tons of shit. Now the next thing that happens is our blood sugar spikes, and then later throughout the day it will crash, and this is what causes us to feel super lethargic. Okay, so now we understand that. Let's understand what happens to our body when we eat 300 calories of eggs. So eggs are very high in protein, very high in fat. There's no carbs, no sugar. So what this practically means is that insulin is not getting spiked. So instead of the body getting the signal to store on fat, it's getting the signal to burn the fat, to use the fat as energy. And now that insulin isn't getting spiked, our leptin signal is going to be working properly. So the eggs are much more satiating than the Mountain Dew. So we're much less likely to overeat. And the eggs are also going to trigger muscle protein synthesis. So even if we end up burning off both the foods by running or whatever, the hormonal effects are still into play. The soda is causing our body to store on fat, while the eggs are going into our muscles, helping us build lean muscle tissue, helping us recover, all that good stuff. So with all this information, what you need to understand is that food just has a massive impact on your hormones. So ideal case scenario is we want 0 spike to our insulin, and on this diet, this high-fat animal-based keto diet, there's going to be 0 spike to your insulin. So that means there's no chance that you're gaining fat on the diet, which is amazing. And so that means that because our body isn't getting the signal to store on fat, it's getting the signal to use the fat as energy. And that's why I was able to eat so many calories, but I was able to shred the weight so quickly, is because my body became so efficient at burning fat instead of storing it. The main foods that are going to spike your insulin are processed carbohydrates and sugar. We want to basically be avoiding this at all costs. And you know what I did was I did a full carnivore diet, so I discarded everything else except for basically meat and eggs, because it's the most efficient diet. It's the best diet that's going to build you muscle the fastest, it's going to shred you fat the fastest, and it worked for me, it's going to work for you. We're humans, you're not a different fucking species. Like, there is no like, oh, you know, maybe this one works. No. Like, this diet works for everyone who tries it because it's an evolution-based diet. Humans have been doing it for millions of years, and so there's really no reason to try to deny it or say that it doesn't work, because it literally works. It's been proven to work for millions of years. If you found this information helpful, then click the link below to access my full aesthetic body blueprint. So I promise you, if you can just focus on the quality of the food that you're eating, you're gonna be so much better off than the guy who tries to go in a calorie deficit or calorie surplus. Because yeah, if you put yourself in a calorie deficit, you're literally gonna shrink your fat cells because you're depriving it of nutrients. But it's like, hunger always wins. Understand, hunger is always going to win. If you continuously like starve yourself, then you're not gonna be able to keep off the weight. You're just gonna put it back on, right? Like, it's just so much less unhealthy, right, to do it that way. Nah, like you should be able to eat until you're comfortably satiated. All you have to worry about is the effects the food has on your body, and calories in, calories out it's genuinely, it's so stupid. Okay, let's move on to why ketosis works. For most of my life, I had absolutely terrible energy. I needed caffeine for every single workout. I relied on like this shitty ass pre-workout, 400 milligrams of caffeine. My energy was up, down, up, down. I was just bogging all the time. And I felt like so incapable of achieving things because my energy was just so inconsistent. I couldn't do the things that I wanted to do. I was like at half of my potential for the day. And as soon as I got fat adapted, everything changed for me. I never crashed out the entire day. My energy got so much better. I was able to accomplish so much more stuff. Go to class, work, spend hours working, go to the gym. I'm running like 15 miles per week now. And I'm increasing that like every single week. I'm increasing that. And now I have so much more that I can do with my day just because I'm so much more capable now that my body is working properly. I'm running how I should be. And I want the same for you. So typically we're running off of carbs, right? And we convert carbohydrates into glucose and we use that glucose as energy. So what is the energy now that we don't run off of carbs? Well, when you enter ketosis, what happens is your liver starts to produce ketones as the new energy source. You start to run off of your fat. And so this is gonna mean two things. So like we already just covered, the foods you're eating in ketosis don't have any spike to your insulin, right? So meat and eggs, cheese, basically zero carb foods have zero spike to your insulin. And this is gonna mean two things for us. One, it means our body's gonna be in a constant fat burning state instead of fat storing. And two, our metabolic rate increases. Now what this means is basically, if you're eating more calories than your body needs, it's okay because now your metabolic rate is so much faster, so you're pushing more calories out faster. So you may still not be convinced that running off of your fat is better than running off of your carbs, but I wanna just we're gonna dive into the science a little bit basically, and just understand why the energy is so much better once you become fat adapted. So the science is that basically, once you become fat adapted, in ketosis, your mitochondria production increases, it ramps up. So the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell, right? Well, you start to get more mitochondria, and these mitochondria start to become more efficient over time. So you get more of them, and then they work better, they become more efficient. On top of this, now you're running off of your fat stores instead of your glycogen tank, and your fat stores have over 100,000 calories of energy. So like a skinny kid, like a skinny ass kid, this kid probably has like 100,000 calories of energy, and he just can't access it because he's eating carbs, and carbs block basically they hold you off, they prevent you from accessing your fat stores. And that's why you'll see those marathon runners, right? And like they constantly need to eat those like little sugar goo things because they're always running out of energy, right? It's like when you eat carbohydrates, you have to keep eating for the energy because your glycogen tank is like 3,000 calories compared to the 100,000 calories or more. Like if you're not skinny, you have more, which is unlimited energy. And this is why you'll see so many Ultraman, like high performance athletes. There's many high performance athletes in ketosis. I think the guy who holds the record for the fastest 100 miles was in ketosis. So you might be wondering, like, don't I need carbs for the gym? I need carbs for muscle, right? As you can tell by these two pictures in my physique, my muscle size remained the same. I actually grew in muscle density. I grew muscle, but I lost all of the fat at the same time. And this is like the miracle, best case scenario, right? That's like unheard of in bodybuilding. Typically when you're losing fat, you're losing weight, you're also losing muscle. But the exact opposite happened for me. And the reason why this was the case is because now I was giving my body all of the right nutrients, right? There's no nutrients that you're missing out on this diet. So if you just do a stone cold strict carnivore diet or you do low carb, you're not missing out on any nutrients, right? There's like a misconception that like, oh, you're missing out on like micronutrients or whatever from like fruit and stuff. But it's like, what they didn't understand or they didn't tell you is that you don't need fiber. The vitamin C is basically useless when you cut the carbs because basically your body will start to produce its own form of vitamin C when you cut the carbs. So, there's no person on carnivore who ever got scurvy. Like we've yet to see a single guy who's gotten scurvy. And the reason why I was able to build the muscle so quickly is because the diet's rich in cholesterol and saturated fat, which are literally like the key building blocks for testosterone. And so now that I was fueling my body with everything it needs for protein, everything it needs for muscle growth, I just started making amazing progress in the gym. Like my workouts became so much better. I was hitting PRs almost every single workout. And now the next reason why you can build muscle so much easier is because all of the vitamins on the diet are the most bioavailable. And what this means is that basically meat, animal products have the highest bioavailability. They have the highest rate of absorption. So you can derive more of the nutrients than you can a piece of steak than you can from a fucking potato, basically. So like the foods that we're eating, we want to have high absorption, high bioavailability, because we need those nutrients to build muscle, right? And you might be wondering, well, why haven't I mentioned like plants? What about grains, all this other stuff? But the reason why we avoid plants is because plants have a long list of anti-nutrients that we want to stay away from. And basically, these anti-nutrients come in and they block the absorption of nutrients. They prevent our body from absorbing the nutrients. So that's why we get rid of them, is because it's like plants don't want you to eat them. And many people, when they eat plants, they feel bloated, there's inflammation. And then as soon as I cut the plants, their body just starts performing so much better. Okay, let's move on to the action steps in the simple meal plan. So I've given you a ton of information now. So how do we use this? So first, we need to drastically reduce our carb and sugar consumption and drastically increase our fat consumption. So go to the store and look for all the fatty cuts of meat. So if you typically buy like chicken breasts, look for the chicken thighs. If you get the 93.7 ground beef, go for the 23.73 or 20, something like that. It's like 80-20, whatever. Go for the fatty cuts. And basically, you want to go for the high fat. We're aiming for a 70-30 fat to protein ratio. So 70% of our calories come from fat and 30% come from the protein. And the way you tell by this is basically you just have to check your poop pretty much. So like if you have diarrhea, that means that you ate too much fat. And if you have like you're constipated or whatever, like the poop's too hard, that means you didn't eat enough fat. So yeah, any kind of meat is good. Eggs are good, cheese are good, salt. And people ask about spices. If it really helps you to include spices because, the taste or whatever, then yeah, you can include them. But best case scenario, there's no spices at all. And, also look for butter because we're going to be cooking our food in butter. So we need the butter to up the fat intake. And if you're doing low carb, your best options are going to be like avocados, nuts, nut butters, fruits, and most dairy products are going to be okay as well. Now, on this diet, to achieve the best success, you have to eat whenever you're hungry and eat until the meat stops tasting good. So you got to keep eating until the meat tastes like fucking cardboard. Because basically, the reason why the food tastes so good is because your body is getting the nutrients. It's telling you, oh, keep eating because it tastes good. You're getting those nutrients. And when it tastes like shit, your body is telling you, okay, it's time to stop eating. Like, we're done now. And the reason why this works, the reason why this diet works, is because your body, your hunger hormone knows best. It's an evolution-based diet, right? It's like you're never gonna see like a koala in nature pulling out his fucking calculator to calculate how many more leaves he needs to eat, bro. Like, nah, he stops when he knows he's done. And humans are the same way. It's just that most people just eat the wrong foods that destroy their hormones and fuck up their body. So they don't know when to stop eating. But literally all you have to do is just listen intuitively to your hunger hormone. It's going to tell you exactly how much to eat. And the beautiful thing about this as well is like, if you have more fat on your body, then your body is going to tell you to eat less naturally, because now that you're not spiking your insulin, you'll be able to burn fat way more effectively, basically. And so your body is going to start to run off of that fat for energy and tell you, hey, we don't need to eat as much right now because we have more fat on our bodies. And so if you're a skinny guy as well, that means like your body is going to tell you to eat more as well, especially if you're in the gym or you're doing cardio. You're giving your body that stimulus to build muscle or something like that. Your body's going to say, yo, we need muscle. We need to, eat a fuck ton right now because we're using more energy to build muscle. So your body, your hunger hormone is going to take care of everything if you're living the lifestyle that you want. And now on this diet, it's common to fall off. I was able to be basically 100% consistent for the past like 5 months. I haven't cheated once, haven't ate a dessert, haven't ate a fucking vegetable, haven't ate a fruit, nothing. I've been super clean. But if you do fall off, it's okay. Most people have trouble because like they'll still have some cravings. And most of the times when you get cravings, it's just because you're hungry, right? The only time you're gonna get cravings is because if you're hungry, right? But if there's no healthy food around, if there's no food that is gonna be good for you, then you don't have to eat. You can literally just wait, and your hunger hormone basically will dip back down to its normal levels. So you don't have to eat during those times. But yeah, just think to yourself, like, okay, I'm hungry right now. I'm getting the cravings, but I know that I'm just hungry and I just need to eat some real food. And then those cravings are gonna go away. Now, the transition period on this diet is going to be pretty ass. I'm just gonna tell you right now. And most people that you see on this diet, they'll like get on it for 2 weeks and be like, oh, it was awful. I just feel better with carbs. But it's like, bro, no, you dumbass. Like, you got to give your body like at least 3 months, to get fat adapted, because basically what happens is, your body's transitioning from running off of carbs to fat, and you're not fat adapted because you've been eating carbs your entire life. So you have to give your body that time. You have to give it becomes more and more efficient over time. The range of people, like the time period of when they get fat adapted is like typically between 1 to 3 months. But during this time period, we just have to, allow our bodies to get better and better at running off of fat, because it's not used to it. So for the first few weeks, your energy might be worse. You might experience migraines. You might experience some negative symptoms, but they go away very quickly, and like soon your health is just gonna spike. You're gonna become so much more healthy. So if you follow everything in this video, you're guaranteed to build that physique of your dreams in way less time than any other method would ever get you to. You're basically guaranteed to build muscle. You're guaranteed to be healthy. You're guaranteed to get lean. You're guaranteed to achieve that physique of your dreams. So I hope you found this information helpful, man, and I will see you in the next one.